On this episode of Beer, Blues, and BS, boy, do we have a great show for you. Why? Because it's August. It's IPA Appreciation Month, which means there's going to be IPAs to be had. That's right. For the next 5 weeks, we are going to be diving into IPAs. I have provided the gents with a whole assortment of them, and we're going to give them a try, and we'll have some fun with that. Sure, I'm this excited about it. Kidder, absolutely dreading it, but that's okay. We're going to have some good fun. Local Geek, JS are along for the ride this month, so get ready for a month of good times. But for this particular episode, we're kicking it off. We're kicking it off with a couple of good ones, and even a couple of guests. Get ready. This is an unexpected show. It's probably not what you're expecting, which is why it's unexpected. Come on, Howard. Keep your language going. It's a problem when I improvise these. But don't worry. This show's much better than I'm making it sound out to be. Why? Because he's here. Who? You'll see. But don't worry. You're in a good place. Welcome to the show.
It's Howard Blues and V-Mark Kidder. Pour a cold beverage, pull up a seat, enjoy time with friends.
Triple B! Well, the Triple B sucks. Okay? Come on.
Whatever, man. This is Beer, Blues, and BS. Online at beerbluesbs.com.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Beer, Blues, and BS, the podcast that's glad to say it's August, and that means it's IPA Appreciation Month. I'm your host, Howard Blues, the living embodiment of Charlie Brown, here to entertain you, as always, but not with my co-host, because it's IPA Appreciation Month, and we all know Kidder doesn't really like IPAs, so of course he's dodging being on the first episode of the month, so that he can go off to Vegas and, do cosplay and, live out his dreams of being a Starfleet captain. But that's okay, because I got somebody to fill in. Somebody who will be just as good, if not better. And as, normally he disappoints us. But it's okay, because he's making it up by being here. And guess what? I get to also say, this is not only the first episode of IPA Appreciation Month, this is the first time that the Triple B goes international, because my guest is not in the United States. That's right. He's all the way across the Pacific, coming into us from Korea. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is the return of Big D. Big D, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing just fine, although I'm joining you from the future. As you can see from my window, there's a whole lot of sunlight coming through. So this for the listeners, it's a 14-hour time difference off of Howard and Kidder. This is 9 p.m. over there. It is 11 a.m. the next day over here. So, yeah, my What's on Tap might be a little bit boring. But, I got to drive in a couple hours, so it is what it is.
It's okay. It's understandable. We're just excited to have you on the show. We have been trying to set this up for a while, and I'm glad we could finally make it happen. And I apologize for my co-host, ditching out on the time. Although that said, I didn't tell him you were going to be on this week. Yeah. So it is what it is. But Big D, you hinted at everybody's favorite segment of the show, and we will start with that, and that is What's on Tap. Good sir, you are the guest. What are you having?
All right. Before I get into that, I know before we started broadcast, I did talk about the voice coming through digitized. I can see you perfectly, but there is a lag on the audio. So if I take a little bit longer to respond, it's not because I'm hungover. It's because of the. But yeah,
it's okay.
The What's on Tap for this morning is a little bit of Death Wish coffee, a little bit of whipping cream, maybe about quarter teaspoon. Here it is in my fancy hotel cup, and yeah, it's good. This has been our go-to coffee all year, so that's 10 out of 5 because it keeps me going.
It's good. I think that's probably the first. No, wait, it isn't the first legitimate time coffee has been on the show, because JS had it during one of the episodes where he was out plowing snow and recording with us. So, but his was just gas station coffee. So that's that. And don't worry about the leg, Big D,
Known as
because
battery acid.
yeah, future Howard will edit out the gaps, so it's going to seem like we're nice and smooth and professional, except for those parts where we talk over each other. So,
Except for the part where I'm here.
yeah, exactly. So as I said, it is August, and we, or at least I, dubbed August IPA Appreciation Month. Big D, I know you probably haven't caught up on all the shows, but there are 5 weeks in August. And so since we usually do 2 What's on Tap rounds in an episode, I bought all of the regulars here in the Bismarck area 10 different IPAs to drink over the course of these this month. And the joke is that there's 10 IPAs. However long it takes them, so if they're on the show more often, they'll get through it faster. But those who lag behind, like, Kidder missing this episode, it's going to last longer for him. So that'll be good. But I'm kicking off IPA Appreciation Month with the Deschutes Brewery. This is their Citrus Dive Grapefruit IPA. It is from the Deschutes Brewery out of Bend, Oregon. Family employee owned since 1988. 6% alcohol by volume. Dive into this bright and hoppy IPA with a splash of refreshing grapefruit flavor. It's got they have their own rating scale out here out of 5. It's a 5 out of 5 for citrus, a 2 out of 5 for piney, a 3 out of 5 for bitter, and a 4 out of 5 for crisp. So that's their tasting notes. So, Big D, it is a shame that we're having this because I think, besides myself, I think you are probably the only other regular member of the Triple B that enjoys an IPA on occasion. So, it's a shame. That's not bad. It's not bad. It's not too hoppy. Doesn't have a real pine. It's just a little bitter, but a nice citrus taste. That's a good one to kick off IPA Appreciation Month. I'm going to give that a solid 3.8 out of 5. Very good. Very good. Well, as we have gotten through all of the joys of What's on Tap, Big D, it's been a while since we have had you on the show. You made one guest appearance kind of when you were back stateside, but otherwise you've been over in Korea. And I thought it'd be just interesting to chat about how life's been over in Korea. And, maybe we'll also touch on the fact that I can see I'm clearly your favorite of the 2 hosts because you seem to be mimicking my my goatee here with one of your own. It's been a while since we've seen that on you.
Yeah, it's so ordinarily I don't, ordinarily I'm in uniform, so can't have that. I can have this. I can have just a regular mustache. However, I tried that when I was in Afghanistan. It did not go well. There was a 30-day challenge to grow it out. It wasn't quite March Madness. It wasn't quite No Shave November because I was in Afghanistan from May to September of that year. I got 2 weeks in, and I was this close to being sent home. Not really, but they wouldn't have been wrong. So I'm like, no, get rid of it. So if it grows out, it's the goatee. Because I just can't grow a full beard, so this is the best I can do, and I think it works. I haven't actually been in uniform in let's see, it's the 3rd over here. Let me look at the calendar. So 7, 8, 9 days. Thursday the 25th was the last day I was in uniform because I spent every moment since then getting ready to leave, which included once I was done handing things off with my replacement, had to get the house ready, and all of this past week was the whole process for that. In the hotel now, I'm leaving on next Thursday. But that's how this came to be, and it'll be gone in a couple of days. As far as life in Korea, it's been good. This is our second time in Korea. Mrs. D and I were here from August of 15 to August of 16, and thankfully this time I won't go into all the weirdness about that one. But with our living situation being 2.5 hours apart, but we enjoyed Korea, and we were really happy to have a chance to come back. And this time we knew what the hell we were doing, and this time I could drive, and that was a big thing. Although having been a cardiac patient, I can add Seoul to my list of cities never to drive in, because yeah, it's just not that there's anything inherently wrong. It's just major urban area, narrow streets. Just not my thing.
I have to ask, since you bring this up, but I will interrupt. But okay, if you have a list of cities you won't drive in, what are the cities on that list? What is Big D's list of cities not to drive in?
The only other two that are on the list are Paris and London. I can kind of add Tokyo to the list, but my time there, I was only there for a night, and I wasn't even in like the heart of Tokyo, so I can't add that yet. Not until I've been there. But yeah, driving in London, you got traffic cameras are a thing outside of the U.S. And they got them for speeding. They got them for violating a red light. In London, they're particularly spicy about it because they will have both of those at the same intersection. Now, they're very nice in England where they paint hash marks on the road for the exact scanning area, but you can see it overlapping half of the intersection. Oh yeah, there's a red light camera there too. So pick your poison, and those fines are not cheap. Speeding, I only remember the speeding one because it's based on the percentage of whatever they calculate your weekly pay to be. So the time I was there, 1 to 10 miles per hour over would have been like a $1,200 fine after conversion. So, ouch.
Yeah. Ooh. No, I'm glad I'm here. Although maybe if we had fines like that here in North Dakota, there would be less problems. I was actually out in Medora today, and my sister-in-law Rachel was with, since she works for the Historical Society as well. When we got back, we both witnessed a turn on red, but it was from the left-hand lane. So, yeah, for those who don't know, you can't make a left-hand turn on a red. It was very like blatant. It wasn't like you pulled it, like you've been waiting and it's gone yellow and that last car goes through and it's now officially red. No, this was like we sat there on the red looking to see which light it was, and then this person was like, screw it, and then just went. And it's just like, So you're packing up, you're leaving Korea. Can I ask, where are you headed next? Where in the world is Big D going to be next?
So 13 years, but finally heading back to Germany.
I'm clapping. For those who don't know and maybe haven't seen a show with Big D, Germany is kind of the place that you've been trying to get to ever since you left, it seems like.
Yep, I was last there. It was my very first assignment. September of 2009 to September of 2011. Left there, went to Guam, and have been trying to get back ever since. The first time I came to Korea was to try and do that. Based on the way assignment rules work, there was a way to get advanced notification of where you're going to go after Korea. Tried to get Germany. That's how I wound up in England. And then crossing over to the dark side, I could have gone to Germany first. I essentially had my pick, but for a few reasons, we actually passed on that opportunity to go to Germany. And it's really a good thing we did, because we would have gotten there like 9 months before the world ended, COVID. And the European, particularly the German response was a lot more, and I don't mean this pejoratively, it was a lot more lockdown, and it lasted longer than what we had in the States by comparison, particularly in North Carolina, which is where I wound up. Yeah, because that would have just been rough. And then being in North Carolina, Mrs. D's sister and her husband wound up moving out there after that. We didn't know that at the time, so it actually wound up working pretty well. But then tried to get back to Germany again. Didn't happen. They said, hey, if you're looking to move out of North Carolina, we have a spot needs filling fast in Grand Forks. And the other two options they offered were not appealing. And I talked to Mrs. D and we're like, okay. But then similar story. It was time to move. They're like, hey, we have this this high priority fill in Korea. Do you want to take it? Like, can I get Germany afterwards? Like, nothing's a golden ticket, but you'll get a preference of assignment choices after that. So all things being equal, if it's advertised, you're more likely to get it. And it worked.
Yeah. No, and that's I'm glad that you're able to get back to Germany, especially since that's been your goal for a while. So I do have to ask, does this mean that we might see you stateside for a little bit as you make the transition over to Germany, or are you having to go straight from Korea over?
It will be a transition through the States. Yep. So I leave next Thursday, and I am flying. If there's a weird way to relocate, Mrs. D and I will find it every single time. So Uncle Sam is flying me from here to Seattle on a contracted flight, and from Baltimore straight into Ramstein in Germany on another contracted flight. But it's on me to get from coast to coast. So the way we wound up doing that, it was originally going to be a road trip, mostly because I didn't think I'd be able to fly within the States with my dog. But it turns out I can. And it turns out it's going to be a whole lot cheaper too. So assuming there aren't any temperature restrictions, I'll fly from Seattle to home, and then from home to Baltimore about not quite a week and a half later.
Well, I'm glad that it worked out there. Although I am disappointed that the road trip isn't happening, as are fans of the show, because we had a little something for you if you happen to come through this neck of the woods. So, next time.
Something good or something trolly? Plead the fifth, huh?
Yes. Although I will say, after we're done with this call, and hey, kicking down the tavern door, it is the local geek who was probably not expecting to see Big D on the line. And just so you know, local geek, he is live from Korea. So there's a little bit of a delay. He'll be all right.
Nice. Good to see you, Big D.
But after the show, Big D, if you maybe send me an address that I could mail you something, I happen to have, and Local Geek will remember this because he's seen every episode. There was a time where I ended up with an extra pint glass, one of the Triple B pint glasses, and we tried to give it away on the show. We tried to do a little thing to get people into it for one of the big anniversaries, and nobody did the simple thing of subscribe and then comment on YouTube or Facebook. I forget what it was. So I have a glass, and if you give me an address, I will mail it to that address, and it'll be there so that you can have an official Triple B pint glass added to your collection of stuff. I know that might make moving a little challenging, but I'll do it. So after the show, let me know. Local Geek, I'm glad that you are here. We'll have a little jump in what's on tap, but it is August, so it is IPA Appreciation Month. So hopefully you're joining me in having an IPA. Big D's drinking coffee.
I am actually not having one of the ones from the official Triple B IPA box, though. Figure I'll wait until the three of us are all on together, or however many others join. But what I'm having is one of my brother's favorite beers. It is the Bell's Two-Hearted IPA. It's from Comstock, Michigan. It says, brewed with 100% Centennial hops, this iconic American IPA is named after the majestic Two-Hearted River in Michigan's Upper Peninsula, with hop aromas ranging from pine to grapefruit, and perfectly balanced with a malt backbone. This beer is well suited for any adventure. And it is 7% ABV.
Nice. I did look at that one as being one of the official selections, but unfortunately, in the ways that I had to purchase it, it wasn't going to work out well.
I didn't even look in the box to see what all was in there yet. So
I can tell you that's not one of them. So
it's definitely an IPA. It's got that bite to it, but it does have some flavor in it as well, which is nice.
good. I'm glad you're joining. Local Geek, I'm sure you saw this. Big D, you'll appreciate this. Because I started this whole IPA appreciation joke, I think back in like January, about we should make August IPA Appreciation Month, mostly to poke Kidder because he has a birthday this month, and so it's just like perfect that his birthday would be celebrated with IPAs. So I started this. It started off as a joke, and then I decided to actually do it. Bought all these IPAs, have doled them out, and all that, and it's been in pretty good fun. But I'm glad the Local Geek has like gotten on my side with this. So like in one episode, I asked for like, send in your feedback if you want us to do IPA Appreciation Month, and he made a bunch of dummy emails and sent them in so that we had feedback that said yes, IPA Appreciation Month. And then last night, he sent out a message to the group text that kind of the three of us have, and he goes, "Hey, it's August. Are you guys doing an IPA Appreciation Month post?" Of course, Kidder's like, "Nope, that's banned." And I meet him like, "I'm on it." Got on. It took me a while because Facebook fought me for a little bit with some of my posts. Found a little, made a little AI art, and got a post up there. And it's a great piece of art if you haven't seen it, for a couple of things. One, it's got a fairly okay representation for AI of Kidder and myself. It's got Kidder drinking a beer. Not me. I'm just sitting there smiling. But if you look at it closer, there's two interesting things to note. One, I, for some reason, have 6 fingers on my hand because that's AI. But the second thing that I didn't notice until I looked at it again today, if you look at it closely, it's not Kidder actually drinking the beer. It is me pouring the beer into his mouth, which is very fitting for IPA Appreciation Month, since I'm forcing him to do this. So,
did you also notice the can on it? It's a Midwest IPA.
Yeah.
It's an OPA.
I'm not going to lie. That was like the best image of like the 4 or 5 that I got. Some of the others, are just kind of too gross to share. So, but
Trying to find it now. Is it on? You said it's on your Facebook page.
yes, you got to go to the official Beer Blues NBS Facebook page.
Okay. I also figured out what was making the weird sound and the lag. It was because I had other stuff open that was eating up my bandwidth. So that's gone. All right. This is okay. I'm looking at it right now. You both look like that guy from Breaking Bad. Wow. There's the extra finger. Good gravy. That's that's unique, Howie.
You gotta love AI art. I've been using this Big D for a while now because, in part of as the show has, continued on, it just gets to be a little too much for me to do all of the editing and then create the thumbnail and the description. So we've been using AI art to kind of help with the thumbnails. And every now and then, if you look at some of that AI art that we put up on there, there's always some interesting things kind of hidden inside of it and stuff that you go, well, AI, that's not quite right. But, for a thumbnail on YouTube, it might work. Local Geek, I will tell you, since Kidder isn't here and we will see him on Sunday to record kind of his section live from Vegas, I did take his shirt idea and run that, with my suggestion through AI, and I'll be sharing those because I got some interesting results with that. Again, filling in Big D and the audience, Kidder sent us from Vegas a picture of a shirt that said, "We'll sell wife for beer," and I made the joke back that we should get a shirt for the Triple B merch store that says we'll sell wife for podcast sponsorship. Also, Kidder's always harping on people to sponsor the show. And it was determined that I needed to run it through AI to create some graphics for it. And I did. And boy, did I have to get specific, because I realized when you didn't put in, merch for the podcast Beer, Blues, and BS, AI came up with some really weird stuff. So there's a tease. Tune in next week, audience, and I will show that off because I want Kidder's reaction to it. So Big D, you're going to just have to, watch that episode when it comes out. Like you watch all of our episodes when they come out.
I have watched every episode that you put out in the past 6 hours. and half of it.
I think that was a pretty decent episode too, by the way. A whole lot of bad stuff going on. And if you didn't catch Big D, the whole note that was put up by Future Howard, the Triple B hard drive blew up as I was about to edit that episode. So
I did not see that note. My condolences.
Yeah. Thanks to Derek, we were able to save it, but otherwise we would have lost everything we've ever done for the Triple B. So we saved it. It's on a new external, and Derek, I'll get you your adapter back at some point next time I see you. But
yeah, that's fine. No rush.
Yeah, certainly was.
How long did that take, by the way?
It has run just because I had to use other things that I had to set up with. I've been running it at night, and it has run every night, like all night, all week. So the drive came in on Monday, and it has been every night for several hours. But finally it's done. It was 4 terabytes of data. So yeah. So now that's basically half of the new drive. So
nice.
But it is saved, and I will keep the old hard drive. And as I said, someday when we retire from the show and Kidder and I turn 80, I will donate to the State Historical Society for historic record. So, but I want to be like either, dead and gone, or too old to, like if anybody asks me about it, I'm like, yeah, don't remember.
Get off my lawn.
I leave that to Kidder. Kidder's more of the get off my lawn kind of guy. Knowing my luck, I'm going to be the guy that goes, did I have a lawn? Where did I leave it? Yeah. So, Local Geek, what's new with you since we last chatted a week ago?
Well, it's been a crazy week at work. A couple big issues we've been dealing with, so that's consumed a lot of my time. I think I've had the last 3 nights I've had to log back on at 8 o'clock or later and do some work to reboot things or change some configurations that we can't do during business hours. And
yeah, it seems like we've been having some problems with Midco lately, because I know the other night, actually it was last night, like our Midco went out, and eventually they put up a thing about it being out, and then they said it was resolved, and it still took like an hour or 2 before we had internet. So.
Wow. Yeah, mine went down right before I joined on the show here. I texted you and said mine had gone down. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to get on the computer or not, but I rebooted everything and it came back up. So,
yeah. Big D, as somebody who's traveled the world, a week I think kind of take for granted here in the United States just how like easy internet access is. What's it like getting hooked up to internet and internet speeds as you've kind of traveled the world?
In Korea, in both cases, the houses that we've rented, this one and the one back in 2015, it's been provided from the landlord, so we didn't really have to do anything for it. In England, it was kind of funky because I don't even remember why. It just it took a while to get set up. Like we had to call and make an appointment, and then it took a couple of weeks to get it set up, if I remember correctly. And then there was some extra piece of hardware we had to plug into the wall, which I never understood then. So don't ask me to explain it now.
I've heard speed-wise, the rest of the world is quite a bit behind what we have here on the States. Is that true?
Depends on the country. England was a little bit slower, but not too bad. Really, the wonky thing about England was the cell service was not as widespread as I would have expected. It was fine. Korea, my wife and I have a running joke that you'd be in a nuclear fallout shelter and still get signal, which I tested in a very deep parking garage just a couple days ago before they got on the plane. Side note, Mrs. D and Little D are now in Germany visiting her sister and brother-in-law and all the kids because they're living there too. So we'll be about an hour apart from each other. But yeah, we went to either Starfield Mall or Shinsegae Mall. Starfield, and that's the. I know this means nothing to you guys. Don't worry. It was about a half hour from here, but like a 2 or 3 level parking garage basement, and I had 4 out of 4 bars on my phone. So
Nice.
yeah,
That's pretty impressive because it's not always easy to run internet in there. At the Ronald Reagan Minuteman Missile State Historic Site, we actually ran Ethernet cable down into the 2 capsules. So we do have internet 50 feet underground in there.
Nice.
So that's very cool. And it was interesting to, get to see that happen and make that happen. And now, my site supervisor can give you a tour from underground. It's pretty cool.
That would have been a fun project.
And then comes to mind last weekend we went up to a Gwangmyeong cave, which is a cave. It's an abandoned. It used to be a mine during a Japanese occupation of Korea, so like World War II-ish time frame, and it was preserved and then turned into Howard, you'd appreciate this. Turned into a cultural site where you can walk through, and you're 200 feet underground, I think. And I still had signal. So and I'm sure they have some sort of tech to make that happen, because I can't imagine that cell signal is going to go all the way through rock of that depth. But yeah, they're pretty well set up over here.
Nice.
In that regard.
That's
And if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, there is a statue of Gollum and Smaug in there.
wow.
That's the only reason Little D wanted to go was the Gollum, because he's obsessed with Gollum, which is my fault.
Yeah, I think my little miss is going to be a fan of Gollum. We were doing our nighttime routines, and they just had a bath. And usually when they have a bath, my wife will put on nighttime lotion to help kind of soothe and help them go to sleep. And my daughter had some on her hand, and so she felt the need to reach over and touch me. And I hate lotion. I hate any of that sort of, like, anything on my hands. So she did that, and I just immediately busted out a near Gollum voice of, I need to burn this. And she just giggled and did again. So, yeah, fun times. Fun times. So she's growing up to be quite the character. That is for sure. And she's funny and fearless, and I'm sure we'll give my wife gray hairs before it's all over.
While we're talking about that, I'm going to try and pull up some photos of said cave. So when I get those ready, I'll show you guys.
Excellent.
They're on my phone. I got to move them over. So.
I was looking for that when you mentioned the network down the silo, Howard.
Mm-hmm.
The YouTube channel that I haven't mentioned it in quite a while, the one for the ghost town.
Oh, yes.
He actually ran Wi-Fi 900 feet down in his mine.
That's I that's one of those where it's like, yeah, you can do it, but do you need to? So
Right. I mean, for his perspective, his channel is his business, so being able to live stream from the mines is a big deal for him. But I'm sure it was expensive to do.
Oh, yeah.
It's a wireless ISP that provides this service to begin with, so he's receiving it wireless, and then converting it to a cable, running it 900 feet down into a mine back to wireless.
Yeah. And it's amazing that people are able to work that out, but yet one of the big issues and challenges we have at the State Historical Society is in our archives section. Getting Wi-Fi and internet signal through there. So anytime staff go up there to work, there are definitely dead spots amongst the racks of stuff.
I believe that. Those are probably, I'm guessing, steel racks, and they're full of books and albums and whatnot. And all of that's going to attenuate your signal. So,
yeah, I forget what the exact stat is of linear feet that we have, but it is several miles of records. And that's if you were to stack them all like that. It would it's amazing the amount of data and such that we have in archives. It's pretty crazy. Kidder's in the archives, so I know that for a fact. We did an oral history with him at one point.
Nice.
So he's in there. He's in the state archives. So that was kind of fun. I'm in there. My kids will be in there eventually. Just if you end up ever attending an event at the State Historical Society, especially if it's one that's free and open to the public, and you get your picture taken, all of those photos do eventually end up in archives. So
nice.
If you ever did that, but it's definitely something that's kind of a neat thing to think about. I have a few items that I've donated to the collection. So there's stuff from myself that is in collections and from my wife. Working as a nurse, she was one of the first people in the state to get the COVID vaccine when that came out.
Oh, cool.
And they gave her, of course, a little sticker for it. And she came home, and Calvin, because he was just a little baby at the time, actually pulled it off her scrubs, and she was just going to throw it away. And I'm like, no, wait. And we got a little wax paper and stuck it to that and submitted it, and they took it. And so, yeah, she was able to basically put that in there. She's also got a set of scrubs in the collections too.
Nice.
But Big D's got some pictures up, and that definitely is Gollum.
There's Gollum, and Smog is up there. Goes really, really far back. Unfortunately, I'm not keen on showing my son's face on camera. So this is the only one where I have everything, but his face is obscured by his crazy long blonde hair. But this is just one part of that Guangmyung cave, about an hour north of here. So.
I was going to say, Big D, if you do want to show one that has that, I will. I'll blur them out.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So.
Oh wow.
For reference, Little D is 3'11", and from head to Smog's head is maybe 15 feet. So I don't know if that gives you an idea of the scale of just how big that dragon is, but he big.
That is a big dragon, and I'm guessing it's all carved out of the rock. Is that?
I believe it is.
Cool.
Because the section that we were standing in, I believe the walkways were part of the original mine, but none of this stuff in the back was. So I believe it was carved well after the fact.
What kind of mine was it?
There were like 7 different things that were on the signs that they were mining. Stop saying for a second. Let me see because I feel like I took a picture of the little data plate.
So while you're looking for that, Big D, I have a recommendation for you. Since you are going to be over in Europe, I don't know how much you're going to travel in there. But if you get the chance, over in Poland, there's a former salt mine that was turned into a cathedral.
Oh.
And it's I'm sorry to the Polish people, but it's Wieliczka or Zika. I'll put it up or put it in the description. If you actually just even Google search salt mine Poland, it'll come up pretty quick with some pictures. But it is amazing the amount of sculpture and lighting and underground lakes and such through it. It's pretty cool. So
I don't know. So yeah, this is a little informational play to what they were mining and where. This mine goes down like 9 levels. And this is gum, that's gold, un is silver, dong is copper, ayun and gitawangmul, I don't remember what those mean, but some other minerals I'll pass that along to Future Howard. And as far as what those two are, but those are the 5 main things it seems that they were mining. So it wasn't just like one thing in particular. I don't remember how long the mine was in operation. Fun fact, right here, these two right here, that's what Gwangmyeong looks like in Korean. As you keep hearing me say it.
So I have to ask, Big D, when you've lived in all these different countries and such, how much of the language do you end up picking up? Because like I know for myself, I'm not great at language, but you seem to do pretty well with it.
Oddly enough, not a direct start to answer your question, but oddly enough, the place where I had the most culture shock with language was England. Just because the differences between British English and American English, you wouldn't think, oh yeah, we speak the same language. Well, no, there's some stark differences that just kept surprising me.
Like chips or fries?
Korean? What's that?
Said like chips or fries?
Yeah, I knew that one going in. I think the one that threw us off the most was Mrs. D was working in a school in Didcot, a little bit south of Oxford, and it was like the day after Halloween. They were cleaning up from their displays. One of her co-teachers asked if the kids had put if the squash had been cleaned up. And Mrs. D looked outside and like, oh, there's pumpkin's still out there. And then the co-teacher was like, sorry, British English. Did the juice get cleaned up? Like, in what world does squash mean juice? But apparently it does. Later found out it had something to do with like the amount of juice content it was classified. It was just given a different name. So that one threw us off. Didn't really pick up a whole lot of German, but I didn't really try when I was there last time. I've been studying now, trying to get a leg up on it. It helps that English is really prevalent around where I live, so I don't need it, but I like to. Just being in the country, I want to try and communicate in the local language. Korean is a bit daunting. Thank God it's actually an alphabet. When you compare it to other East Asian languages, Chinese, Japanese. Well, Japanese is not a good example because they have their own alphabets. I just haven't figured those out. But you first look at Korean, you think, oh, Chinese, where it's symbol, sound, and that's it. And heaven help you if you have to look at anyone's name up in a phone book. But once I got the alphabet down, that kind of started. The syntax and the grammar and all that is vastly different. So I picked up a little bit of like very basic conversational, but only in the sense that I can express certain very basic things or things that I would need to know in like an emergency. I need help. Domi piroheo. Survival mode, if you will. Type phrases and things like that. Very, very basic.
Yeah.
I was going to try and self-study myself, but I kind of gave up on that. I gave up on the goal of getting any level of fluency because there's a reason why military linguists go to the Defense Language Institute for 65 weeks to learn this. So I ain't doing it on my own for a year. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, with at least with German, you can do what I do because I learned all of my German from Indiana Jones movies. So, the best phrase I got is "Schnell, schnell, the Amerikaner is here," and even that, kind of ends in English. But that's about as good as with language. I've always been good at like the vocabulary part of it. It's when you start having to put the sentences together in the structure. Like my my wife has been she's been using the app Duolingo to try and learn Spanish. We get a lot of Spanish speakers at the hospital here. She thought it'd be helpful because even though they do have interpreters who come and can help, she thought, if there's some basic things, it could just be helpful. So she's been trying to do that, and I've been listening in a little bit on it. And every now and then, that's like she'll be like, "What is this?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's this word. I remember from high school Spanish." But it's like, but I can't string a sentence together except for like the real basics of like, "Donde es baño?" Where's the bathroom? Or "Uno cerveza, por favor?" The key essentials. But language has never been a strength of mine.
Little D has picked up more Korean than I have, actually, but he's been in a Korean school this whole year, and his teachers even said, like, yeah, he understands what we're saying, and he can speak it. I mean, only being here a year, same story, is not gonna be like completely fluent, but he won't let on to me or Mrs. D how much he actually knows. Like, "Oh, do you learn any Korean words?" No. Like, okay.
Yeah. It's funny. My little guy has been kind of doing the Duolingo with my wife and picking up Spanish. But I just asked her, I'm like, what other languages are on there? And he has decided, and so she and him are working on it every now and then, that he wanted to learn Zulu. So they're working on that. I just laughed. I'm like, Zulu? I'm like, well, you're not ever going to really need that one, but okay, buddy.
I think they have Klingon on there too.
They do have Klingon. They have High Valerian if you're a Game of Thrones fan. So,
Pirate on there also.
I mean, there should be, but really, that one's pretty.
I've never
easy.
seen pirates somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, truthfully, with pirate, it's mostly about the gruffness, and it's more of an accent than a language. And that joke just fell flat. Anyway. No, I was just curious because I don't think I could live in a foreign country because just picking up language is not my strength. It's also why I was not great at coding when we did coding classes, local geek, because that's a language, and I can know the parts and I can know the vocab, but stringing it together, that's where not so great.
Having Google Translate has helped, or some sort of translation app, and it's come a long way since the last time we were here too. There was one, and this will be another presentation mode for you. There was one instance last time we were in the grocery store up in Sokcho, which is in the northeastern part of the country, and we were trying to find bacon because we were just looking for something to, we're going to make some breakfast. We want to find some bacon. Nobody up there spoke English, that at least not that we encountered. But the gentleman there was very helpful, very kind, trying to help us out. And we put bacon into Google Translate. It spat something out. He took us over to what it was. It was pork belly when I went there and reverse translated it. And then we finally got across what we were looking for. Finally find the bacon. And this is what's on the sign. And literally, it's phonetically the same word that we were spending 15 minutes trying to find. Google Translate didn't help us in that particular instance. But,
pork belly is not too far off.
Right there. Totally random. Just popped in my head. The last time we lived here, we had, like, some houses, I guess, used to have, instead of like a dishwasher, they had like a dish sterilizer. And it sat above our sink. It opened just like a cabinet drawer. You could see what was in there because it was glass, and just trying to fiddle around with the buttons. I was trying to figure out how to work the darn thing, and I started translating the symbols one at a time. And this is one of the things about Korean is it is a very contextual language, and then when going, depending on the context, can change the meaning of what the translator spits out at you. I was going through trying to plug them in there, the symbols into Google Translate, and the first symbol, it was like 1, and then the second one in there, it collectively translated, it was like 10 or something to do with actually using the thing. I get the third one in there, and the translation spat back out, Massacre of 3,000 Peasants. I'm not making that up. But the dawned on me much later, like, oh yeah, this is a dish sterilizer. So somehow that context went completely off the rails. Yeah, gotta love it.
Good stories. Good stories. Local Geek, I know I'm out. Are you going to have another, sir?
Yeah, I could have another. I'm just got one swallow left in this one.
Okay.
I'm going to refill my coffee.
All right. Well, while Big D is refilling his coffee, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to everybody's second favorite segment on the show, and that is What's on Tap? Round 2. Drink. And since I'm the only one still sitting at the old computer screen, I'll go first. It is my second IPA of the evening as we celebrate IPA Appreciation Month. This one is from, I believe, New Belgium. It is their Voodoo Ranger. We can't just have a basic Voodoo Ranger. No, we got to go with their Tropical Force Tropical IPA. That's right. It is 9.5% alcohol by volume, and no real tasting notes. It just says an Imperial India Pale Ale with natural flavors. So that's what I'm going to be having here. One of the stronger IPAs that was selected for this month. So, hey, cheers. It's got a very pineapple-y smell and a very strong taste. It's not quite hops, but it's something. But it's got a really lovely pineapple aftertaste. That's if I can get past that one part, it's actually pretty enjoyable.
Oh, did I grab the same one?
The Voodoo Ranger Tropic Force Tropical IPA. Yeah, you did.
By sheer chance, it was the one I grabbed.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what you think of it. I enjoy it. It's got some really nice pineapple notes to it. Although it also has, and don't tell Kidder this part, and it's a good thing that he doesn't also watch this show, it's got some slight coconut flavoring in it too. But it's one of those, there's no tasting notes. So the fact that I got him a pineapple coconut IPA, God, I love IPA Appreciation Month. So what do you think of it, Local Geek?
I could use a palate cleanser first, but I don't have a shot of whiskey, so.
Way to work in the catchphrases.
Oh, that's got a nice smell to it, though. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of a potent punch at the beginning, but then like the aftertaste is like great.
Yeah, it's unless that other one I had burned my taste buds, I didn't get a ton of hoppiness off of this one.
No, not a lot. Not a lot. So that's a good one. That's a good one. I'm gonna love Kidder's reaction to that one when that one comes up in it. And Big D, have you still having your same coffee, or have you switched to decaf?
Look at your tongue, Howard. Decaf. My reaction to decaf is not unlike Kidder's reaction to IPA. Now the difference is Kidder's wrong.
We've been putting up reels and shorts of some of just snippets of the show, and there was one that went up about 2 weeks ago where Kidder was sharing it during a What's on Tap, this Twix coffee drink that he had bought at Sam's Club and had. We actually got a comment from somebody that wasn't in our normal group, and they're like, but it has so much sugar. And I couldn't help myself and just that's probably the only reason Kidder drank it, because he is not a coffee drinker at all. I like mine, black as my soul, dark and bitter. But Kidder likes his full of sugar. So Big D, when you have your coffee, how do you prefer it? What is the coffee of choice?
Coffee of choice is clearly not decaf. I started drinking coffee just black a few years ago. Usually at home, I'll put a splash of cream in and kind kind of soften it a little bit, and that's about it. Not really. I don't really drink or really don't consume a whole lot of sugar in my coffee or really any beverage.
Yeah, which is good. Local Geek, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think you're a coffee drinker.
No, I'm like Kidder. If it doesn't have a ton of sugar in it, I don't drink it.
That's what I thought. It's this is why I like having Big D on. We both kind of enjoy IPAs. We both like coffee. Finally, somebody I can relate to. Although he does like Star Trek. That is the one disappointing kind of thing, especially that Kidder isn't here, because I'm sure Big D, you would have liked to give him grief about being at a Star Trek convention. So
I would have been cheering him on. I would love to go to one day. It just never really seems to work out.
Oh.
So I can't knock the guy for going.
I mean, look, I'm glad that he's passionate about it and that he goes. That I will give that. It's just, it's Star Trek, and it's, the inferior sci-fi series. Although I've seen some of the stuff Star Wars has been putting out lately, and yeah. We'll let that be. So, gentlemen, usually kind of when we get to this point, I start asking if anybody's been watching anything good or playing anything. I have to ask, Big D, when you're in these countries, do you watch a lot of the local television and media, or do you stick to more of the American streaming and such?
I mean, I don't have a TV at home, or the TV in my hotel room is the most TV I've physically had in the past year. The actual TV that I had was a second monitor. I theoretically could watch some stuff on local broadcasts if they are English language subtitled in Korean, which I saw Doctor Who, an episode of Doctor Who one time last time when I was taking around with the TV. Mostly stick to streaming, and if the VPN is working, because I was trying to watch. I'm this close to getting through season 4 of Discovery, and I was trying to pop it on my. I was trying to watch it on my laptop last night, but I need a VPN. I can't install it for reasons, but the VPN's on my phone, so I can watch Paramount Plus on my phone. So almost. Some. What else?
How are you feeling about Discovery, especially since you're at about season 4? Because I think that's when Kidder's love of it started to fade, and I started to get a lot of
I've been fine with it. I've not been blown away by it, but it's been okay. Season 4. I'm right at the part. Spoilers for those who haven't seen season 4 Discovery. Right at the part where they tried to blow up the DMA, and then it came right back, and then they just left the galaxy, and that's right where I'm at, which is season or episode of 9 or 10 of 13. So they better wrap it up fast. But it's been okay. Really, I'm just getting through that so I can check that box and get on to Strange New Worlds, which I hear is leaps and bounds better.
Yeah. I think in all the time that we've done this show, I don't know that I've ever gotten Local Geek on the record of where he sits on the whole Star Trek, Star Wars debate that rages through this show. So Local Geek, I'm going to put you on the spot. Where do you tend to fall in the sci-fi spectrum?
I wouldn't consider myself a fan of either of them. I never really got into either of them, but I have seen more Star Wars than I have Star Trek. And I know more of the lore for Star Wars, so.
That's fair. I mean, I listen, I have watched Star Trek, and I know enough about that, but I'm not at a Kidder level of Star Trek where I'm naming actors from episodes. Can't do that. I can't even do that with Star Wars anymore. If you would have talked to me in high school, I could have, named the obscure characters in the background of Star Wars. these days, no. I decided to let my mind focus on other things besides Star Wars. So too much.
In terms of Star Trek, if you're trying to name actors from a particular episode, you just say Jeffrey Combs, and you have an 80% chance of being right.
I'm going to try to remember that one, Big D. And the next time that like Kidder tries to think of an episode, I'm going to be, oh, you mean the one with Jeffrey Combs? See how that flies. He'd probably be impressed, and then he'd probably ask me about something else. I'd be like, no, sorry.
Big D, you kind of alluded to this with the VPN thing, but when you're on base with the regional things that a lot of the streaming services do, since the base is technically U.S. soil, does it give you U.S.-based shows, or is it for the regional still?
It's for the region. So on base, the internet, the internet registers as Korean. So if I go to Google Maps, if I go to Google Maps and I pull something up in the States, it'll give me the Korean writing of whatever the hell I'm looking at.
Okay. I assumed that was the case, but I wasn't sure.
Since I have Google Maps up, let's have some fun. Oh, wait, no. Okay, so it doesn't always do it. It does it at work, but apparently it's not doing it in the hotel. Bismarck looks like Bismarck. Okay, never mind.
It's because Bismarck is universal. I mean, it is fun, and I do have to say this is the first time we've had a guest, in from international. So, and yes, we're peppering you with questions, but hey, you've traveled probably to more of the world than either of us have. So it's fun to learn.
I've been to
Canada,
countries outside of the States.
Yeah, I have also been to Canada, and that's about as far as I've gotten. I think Big D's even lived and visited more states than I have. So that's
1, 2, 3, 4 states lived in: North Carolina, Indiana, Minnesota, North Dakota.
It's pretty close. I'm at 3.
I'm also at 3.
I have North Dakota, Montana, and South Dakota.
I've got North Dakota, Minnesota.
Yeah, technically, there was a time because I was born in California. I'm actually a California kid, but my parents moved when I was 1 or 2, so I remember nothing of it. So I don't. But yes, technically,
Guam count.
Technically, if you
Guam's a territory, kind of counts. So maybe 5. I don't know.
Bixie's like, I gotta find loopholes. Howard's catching up. Yeah. So no, I was born in Bakersfield, California. So my wife likes to give me grief that I'm a California kid. So I don't mention that though when I meet North Dakotans, because they always want to know, where are you from? And you can tell that they want to know, where are you from in North Dakota? And depending, I will either say Bismarck, or if they want to, if they get past that, if they do but where are you raised? It's crap. South Dakota. But don't mention the California bit. I'm like that I'll lose credibility. So that's I was just having that conversation. I got to meet the gentlemen who are running the stagecoach operation at the Chateau. So we were having a good chat about that. And they're actually originally from Montana. So there was a lot of chatting about what it was like to move in high school and just how jaded I was and they were when they moved. So it was a good time. A lot of laughs. So, and hey, if you end up out in Medora, go to the Chateau and take the stagecoach ride. It's an amazing ride, and some very good guys trying to make a business out of it. So
nice.
Got to promote them. They're doing a lot. They're trying. So there's my shout out for the episode. Promote the stagecoach ride.
Nice.
So
my move was middle school, not high school. So
yeah, I think middle school is a little bit easier than that. Big D, when did you move from Indiana to Minnesota? It was
1992, August.
So elementary school. would have been.
Yeah, I was going into second grade when we moved.
Yeah, I know moving that age is still hard, but I think you can bounce back from that a little bit easier than, middle school or even high school. High school's rough. That was not fun. But as I've said on this show, I was a very jaded teenager about it and tried not to make friends with anybody. I just was like, I'm going to get out of here. And I still pay for that decision these days.
I was just a shy kid and wasn't comfortable trying to make friends. So I relied on people coming to me to try to befriend me. And thankfully that happened with, of course, you guys and Fletcher. I don't know if you remember him or not, but he was the first one that kind of reached out to me when I started school here, and I still keep in touch with him to this day. And
yeah, I don't keep much in touch with anyone else from the, like, it's you and Kidder are kind of the only two from that table. But the interesting thing, and I don't know if you've ever heard this story, Local Geek, but when I first arrived, I showed up, in February up here, kind of for the start of the next semester. It was a little underway. And my first day at Century, walking in there, and I'm very observant, and I have a pretty good sometimes hunch about things. And it was one of those, and it was kind of an overdrive because I was paying attention to everything. But I saw your guys' table, and I saw you guys playing Magic, and I actually in my mind, the click was and thought was, I have a feeling I'm going to end up being friends with somebody at this table. That was it. And sure enough, sitting at that table, and I will always remember it because it's the most ridiculous yellow coat ever. And he still has it. But Kidder was at that table, as was you, Local Geek. It was a group that sat at a particular table and played Magic in the morning before school. And I eventually would play, although I had a very stupid deck, but it worked. But there was that. That was one of them, and there were a few others which I won't mention on the show. But I remember that. And the other thing I remember from that first day was the poor guidance counselor takes me to a locker. She's like, "All right, this will be your locker. Let's try the combination." She opens it up, flings it open, and garbage just pours out of it. No. And she goes, "I'm so sorry. We'll find you a different locker. We don't need you to." Takes me to another locker, does the combination, opens it up, garbage just falls out of the locker. I'm like, oh, this is a great start.
Did you say Century was built on the old landfill? So
this was, they were trying to give me a locker that had opened up from somebody, and clearly it was somebody who just had filled it with. Anyway, it took 4 lockers. It was my 4th locker that didn't have trash in it, and that became my locker at Century.
Where the living embodiment of Charlie Brown started?
No, I have always been the living embodiment of Charlie Brown. The saying of that started, at least really I embraced it in 2021. And that's when my nerve stuff started up, and my nerve issues. And I had a lumbar puncture that led to a spine.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. That basically it led to a spinal headache, which only happens in about 10% of people who get a lumbar puncture. And it got so bad that my wife took me into the ER. Of course, it's slightly after kind of COVID is kind of dying down. She had to wait in the car for 4 hours. They forgot to let her in. Like the way CHI was working at that time, only the patient could wait in the waiting room. And then once you were in the back, if you had somebody, they would go get them or let them come in. They forgot to go get her. So she sat for 4 hours in the car. She wasn't real happy about that, especially since she works there. But the nurse practitioner who was on looked at it and realized that the doctor who had performed the lumbar puncture was actually on and in the hospital, had him come down and look at me. And he decided that I had not waited long enough, and then I need to go home and get some more rest and drink more caffeine. And so he sent me home with the most incredible headache, and it just got worse. I ended up back in the ER like a day later or 2 days later. But when I told my mom this, about that, she goes, "Didn't you tell him that you are the living embodiment of Charlie Brown and that the worst possible thing that could happen always happens to you? So you should just take care of the damn thing." I'm like, I was in too much pain to even think of being witty. I was miserable. I never want to go through that again, ever. Yeah, it was, as I said, it was some of the worst pain I've ever been in, because between the lesion in my spine, acting up, and being upset from laying down, anytime I sat up, it was just incredible headache. And it was amazing to have things I think I've talked about on the show before, but it got to a point where everybody who talked to me, and even my own voice, it sounded like there was a robot filter in my head. It sounded like everybody was coming through as that, like those cheesy toys that we had growing up that you spoke into, and it did that like pixelated robot voice. That's what everybody sounded like to me. And once I went in the second time, they did the blood patch, which is kind of their fix for it. They take blood from elsewhere in your body and put it into your spinal column, and it repressurizes. And that was instant relief. It still took, I think it was maybe 3-4 days before the robot voice disappeared. So, but that was when I fully embraced the living embodiment of Charlie Brown. But I have always been the most unlucky person. In elementary school, we went on a ski trip to Terry Peak. First time on skis. And I end up in one of those great snow wells that happens, by a tree. I fell down, got stuck. Nobody helped me out, including a teacher who came by and like, "Hey, make sure you get up. Gotta get on the bus soon." I made one run. I spent the whole rest of the time stuck in a snow well. Oof. I mean, I am that person that bad stuff happens to all the time. And I've just come to embrace it.
You have to at some point, right?
Yeah. I mean, and so I call it out on here. My boss has come to accept it. I've told her about it. And so like, I'll come in and, I'll tell her some bit of bad news or something that's happened. She goes, "Why is it always your sites?" And I go, "Well," she goes, "That's right. You're the living embodiment of Charlie Brown." I'm like, there you go. So I've accepted it. It's all right. I survived. I'm still here. Mm-hmm. And I'm just gonna, I'll deal with it. It always makes for entertaining stories. If you go back through the history of this show, I mean, look at the things that have happened. Just in recent, the hard drive for the show blows up right before I need to edit it. My car has started on fire while we've done this show. I've nearly been in how many car accidents? It's been, all sorts of fun things that have happened and have been recorded in this podcast.
Your chair broke.
My chair broke on the show. Big D, I don't know if you knew about that one.
I think I did.
Yeah, and
that happened.
Not only did it break, it broke while Kidder was talking, and it was before we filmed everything in the multicam. So we don't even have the footage of the chair breaking.
I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've had those things. How many times have I glued things to my fingers while on this show?
Look, you got the tracker for who drinks what's on tap. You should have a running tally for that.
I mean, we've had that a couple weeks ago. Big D, you started watching the episode that came out this week, and Local Geek knows it. I get done with that show, and I get upstairs, and my wife is having back spasms and needs to go to the ER after I've consumed 7 shots on here.
Oh my!
I mean. So having to, try and get her into the car so she could drive because I couldn't drive, but also find somebody to watch the kids while we were gone. And then because of that, I was up till 3 a.m. You better believe I was hungover the next day when my kids got me up at 7. I mean, you want to talk about bad luck? I got it in spades. It's okay. Makes content for this show. We can all share in the misery together. Well, gents, we are coming to the end of the show. Big D speaking in Korean.
Oh shoot! I thought I muted my microphone. Sorry.
Oh no! Oh no! Oops. That's okay. You're speaking Korean. None of us knew what you said.
Yeah. Roughly translated and letting housekeeping know, no, I'm good for today. And then me being a dork asking, hey, lovely weather. It's 32°C outside, which is like 93. And it's humid AF.
Yeah, it's 100 degrees out in Medora right now. So,
oh, barf.
And their air conditioning is out.
Ooh.
Yep. And the part is still 6 weeks out. When the HVAC guy looked at it, he's like, "Woo, for this?" He's like, "Well, we can order it, but trying to get those." He's like, well, "That's a 12-week. It's out 12 weeks."
By the time you get it, you're not going to need it until next season.
I know. They're still, as I said, 6 weeks out on it. So my staff out there was doing great, but being out there today, it's just like, whoa. Glad I'm not you guys. Luckily, my site supervisor out there, she moved from the Seattle area. And in her house in Seattle, she didn't have central air. So she had all these portable air conditioning units. And she brought them with, thinking that she'd need them, not realizing here in North Dakota, housing is cheaper and you find central air in most homes. So she's like, I have central air. So she brought them all out to the site, and they're using those to try and keep the site cool. It's nice. It's pretty interesting. But she shared, and our stagecoach driver is part of that conversation, thought it was interesting. She shared recently she had a flood in her house. She had a pipe break. And so she had to deal with kind of a flooded basement and taking care of that. She got a plumber out there on an emergency call. She got the bill. She's like, $600. She's like, I love this state. She's like, $600. She goes, if that had happened in Seattle, she's like, that's a $3,000 bill.
Ooh, yikes.
She goes, $600? She's like, I was giddy with joy. So she's like, I love this state. Things are so cheap. So I appreciate her enthusiasm on that. It's great. So, but gents, as I was saying, it is about time for us to wrap up the show. I could, try and have fun at this and make, Local Geek try and do all of the cheap plugs. I mean, he's watched enough of this content; he probably knows it all. But I'll take that and handle it. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you if you've been tuning in and watching this far. We greatly appreciate it, and we greatly appreciate you giving up some of your time to invite us in and hang out with us and have all of that. If you want more of the Triple B, well, there's some great places you can go. You can always start with our website, beerbluesbs.com. It's our home in cyberspace. It has links to everywhere that we are. It's a great place to start. There's also some things you can do on there, like buy us a beer. It's our kind of cheeky way of doing a donation. You get to, send a little bit of money our way. We give you a shout out. You can even leave a comment when you do that, and we'll read it on the show. It's a way to be part of the show. Most people don't take us up on it, but think about it. It's not too bad, and it's fun. Also on our website, you will find our merch store. We do have merch, everything from pint glasses, like my Howard's Cave of Wonder pint glass, the sticker that Local Geek is showing, which you can't see because I'm not Kidder, so there's no multicam.
I wondered if the multicam was there or not. So there was a sticker.
Yeah. But things like that we do have, and it's a great way to support the show. Any money we make goes right back into the show, helps us do better. And hey, if you're kind of new and you're like, hey, this Big D guy is interesting, we have Big D merch on the store. That's right. You can own a piece of the Big D Business Center and put it in your business center. That's right. I had to do it because Kidder's not here. Somebody had to make that reference. But yes, we do have Big D's face on a shower curtain. As we can. Have to get that for you for like a housewarming gift the next time you move.
How about somebody buys Kidder an IPA in the buy a beer or buy a drink?
I mean,
I like that idea better.
I mean, I did buy him 10. So that and hey, one of them's coconut flavored, so that's gonna go over great.
Why do you put Hillbilly Kidder's face on a shower curtain? Why'd you do that?
Technically, he's in charge of the merch. That's one of his duties. So.
You nerd.
Yeah. We have merch here. We're also on Streamlabs. That's the software we use when we do our streams, but you can go over to that site, streamlabs.com/beerbluesandbs. It's a spot where you can also donate. You can actually subscribe to the show there and have a regular monthly donation, which we appreciate. Always glad to receive. And there's also some more merch there. And I think Kidder is working on migrating our merch over to that site. So that's where all the new stuff is. So make sure you check that out. If you want more of this show, of course, you can see the video version on YouTube where you can see our happy smiling faces. Maybe you've wanted to see some of the photos that Big D shared. Don't worry. That's where to go to see it. So YouTube, make sure to search for Beer, Blues, and BS. Make sure that you give us a like, give us a follow, give us a subscription. Because, hey, we're hoping you're going to stick around and come back again and again and again. We also do this podcast as an audio form. So, hey, it is still summer. It is still road trip season. You can take us with you. Just use whatever your favorite audio podcast streaming service is. Just search for Beer, Blues, MBS. We're on all of them, from Spotify to iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts. You name it, we're on them. Stitcher FM. We're always there, so you can take us with. And at this point, we're closing in on 175 episodes, most of them in kind of like the 1.5 to 2 hour range. So think about that. That is a lot of content out there for you to listen to and to consume. We are also on Facebook and Instagram, and it's a great place to look because every now and then we drop a little extra content, like the official post announcing IPA Appreciation Month. Other things, of the trolling nature. Just wait, Big D. That'll be out on Saturday. You'll just make sure you come back. You'll see. It's great.
Today here, it's not out. You fail.
Well, listen, all times are in U.S. Central Time. I can't help the fact that you are.
There's always a catch.
Yeah, I can't help it that you're in Korea. I mean, that's not my fault.
Can't help it that he lives in the future.
Exactly. Damn it. That's what you get for being a time traveler. So, yes. On Facebook, make sure again that you like and follow. We appreciate it. And make sure that you share, because it's a great way to get new people to enjoy this show. Trying to think if there's anything else that I've missed from our regular things. If you want music, make sure to check out Kidder's playlist over on Spotify, The Killer Kidder Show. It's all of his curated music. There's enough music on there to last Big D his entire trip from Korea to Germany. So, there's plenty. And even then some, because he's cheating and flying, but that's all right. There's still plenty out there. Yes, I think that's it. I probably am missing something. If I am, Future Howard will make sure that stuff is down at the bottom or in the show notes. So make sure you do that. And with that brings us, gentlemen, to final thoughts. So I'm just going to go in the order that people joined here. So starting Big D, any final thoughts?
Yeah, not really. I'm just gonna, instead of final thoughts, we'll do an over/under game, because I'm just gonna throw this out there. This is a 10 won coin, front and back. Give an over/under how much you think this converts to in USD.
I'm gonna say $1.50. Actually, I should have gone with the standard triple B answer of $3.50. About $3.50.
Oh,
Lee, what you think?
I would go with a quarter.
And you would both be wrong. This is 0.7 of a penny.
Ah.
And 1,001, 73 cents. So that's my final thought. Big D rules. There we go. Also, like Kidder and IPA.
Yeah. I'm sure he's going to just be upset that he missed this episode, especially because he doesn't know what's happening.
Nice.
And I'm not telling him because, shenanigans. Anyway, Local Geek, your final thought.
So yeah, my final thought is looking forward to attending the Crosstown Brew Down tomorrow. It's an event put on by the United Way, $45 a ticket. It's on the rooftop of Stonehome Brewing in Bismarck here. And most of the breweries in town participate. They usually make a couple beers for the event, and you go there, you can drink all you want, and they've got a taco bar for food, and a band is playing Sugar Break. So should be a good time. Might be a little bit warm, but last year I went and it was really fun. My favorite beer last year was a jalapeno beer, which really surprised me that I liked it as well as I did.
Nice.
Never figured that was a thing. Awesome.
Yeah, I think Buffalo Commons made that one, if I remember right.
That sounds definitely like the kind of thing I would have on this show. Yeah. Well, I look forward to on Sunday when you and I record the episode with Kidder live from Vegas, hearing all about your time at the event. So make sure you give us a good report. You're not, since you're not a regular or our usual host, I'm not going to do what I do to Kidder and be like, make sure you get some content for the show. So
I might have some pictures, or maybe I'll take some video of the event while it's going and get it to you, but we'll see if I remember.
It's okay if you forget. As I said, we'll get your report on Sunday. So, well, gents, thank you for joining me. Thank you and the audience for listening in. This has been a lot of fun. And I get to wrap this up by saying the same things we say to end every episode. Keep your glass at least half full. Hey, there'll be free beer tomorrow, unless you're the local geek, and then you paid $45 to get the entrance fee. And we will
all
catch
free after that.
Yeah. And we'll catch you all on that Korea to Germany Tuscan highway. Night, everybody.
You have been listening to a UA production of Beer, Blues, and BS. If you enjoyed the show, help others find out about it by rating the show or leaving a review at your podcast listening service of choice. Thanks for listening, and may your glass never be empty. UA Productions presents A Glimpse Behind the Curtain.
And there he is.
Morning sunshine.
Yeah, because it's what, noonish over there for you?
It's 11 a.m. over here, yeah. And I don't know if it's something with the network I'm on, but you're coming through very digitized. Like, I can understand what you're saying, but probably something on my end, unfortunately.
Yeah, probably. You seem fine on my take, but, the local geek did just text me to say that the Midco just went down. So we'll see what happens. So, and just so you know, Kidder won't be here. So he's down in Vegas, and I sent him a text about 30 minutes before start time going, hey, you still good to go in 30? He's like, no, I can't. Can we do, tomorrow or Sunday? And I'm like, Yeah, I can make Sunday work, but I'm still doing the show because I got Steve coming. I didn't say that part, so he doesn't know that we're doing this. So it'll just be a surprise when this episode comes out and you're here. But I mean, that's how it goes. Local Geek might join us. We'll see. So, because I told him, like, I got a guest. So I'm doing the show anyway. You're free to join. So, otherwise, I think that's all. Just so you know, because I'm sure you haven't watched the show, we've actually cut the show down to 1 hour and 30 minutes. So it's shorter.
I had the one you posted a few hours ago up on my screen. I was checking that out. Very sorry to hear about that Lollipop Guild little midget gnome thing. If I would have had time just to be a jerk or a troll, I would have run out to the shop at like a little mini mall out here, just almost across the street from the hotel I'm in, and gotten an ice cream sandwich and right back over here, but didn't have time, unfortunately.
That's okay. Wait till you see tomorrow. We put up a reel that I took while I was down there. You'll like it.
Yeah, I listened to your description in that episode. I'm looking forward to it. I think.
I think you'll get a kick out of it. It's I was so disappointed. Like my family is now aware of this joke. So like my brother was helping me scour Munchkin Land trying to find the damn thing, and we couldn't find it. So, oh well. I made the most of it.